Yes. Technically, I'm from the Bay Area. My parents were small videographers. They had a wedding videography company. I grew up in a little town called Discovery Bay, California. So that's where I actually grew up, was Discovery Bay, California, for most of my life. Then I went to school at University of San Francisco.
All right. And so, what was your your first job?
Working for my parents.
All right.
Yeah, I actually learned a lot from my parents. Because my parents were a very small business, and it was just the two of them, and they filmed weddings. I did everything from meeting with brides and grooms, and to accounting, to sales, to.
So you really could have helped us with our AV.
Yes, absolutely. yeah.
And I think when I first met you, you described yourself as a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
So what? I think you said like 9 or 10 companies you started. So what was your first company that you started?
The first company I started was an extension of my parents' company, and that was Great Video Production Company here in Sacramento. My parents had Great Video Recording Company in the Bay Area, so it was kind of an extension of their company. And then I started another company on top of that company called One Source Media. It was more of a brand positioning that we switched over to One Source because it was for corporate, and it wasn't a part of the wedding industry anymore. So we did corporate videos. We also did a lot of government contract work, and those are the first two companies I started.
So from I'll get to your big success, but like from your previous 9 companies or 10 companies, what do you think was kind of some good lessons learned from that?
Wow. Okay. There's a lot of lessons learned. I don't know where to start. I can tell you that going through the recession was a big wake-up call for myself. Going back to work for a big company after that recession was another great wake-up call, and I learned a lot. I was fortunate at One Source Media to have a client named Paul McGuire, who was a business coach. He's actually a business coach for physicians. And so I got to tour around the United States with him, and basically he wanted to chronicleize all of his business consulting and business classes that he was doing around the United States. So I got to learn. I soaked up so much between 2007 and 2009 when we eventually closed Great Video in 2009, 2010. And I learned so much from him about just principles of business. There's just a laundry list. But what happened was when we all remember, for those of us that do remember, I don't know how many people are younger in the room that don't remember, but 2009, 2010 was a very wicked time. And for me, with One Source Media, we lost 80% of our clients. We had Department of Motor Vehicles, Department of Education, CalPERS, and we were in these vendor pools where we get notified of jobs, and then we'd bid on a project, and it's 1 out of 5 vendors or 1 out of 3 vendors, and these are pretty big jobs. Department of Education, I was doing 20 grand a month in work for Department of Education, and when the recession hit in 2009, they just stopped bidding jobs. So a huge chunk of income was just gone. So I had to lay off people. It was a sobering experience, to say the least.
You mentioned you did work for the state, and to me that's very, it's pretty hard to work for the state. So what is the approach to, working business with the state?
It's painfully slow, but they do, their checks clear. So there's benefits, right? You bill over a time period. You don't get paid for 30 or 45 days, but when you do get paid, the check clears. So you don't have to ever worry about things of that nature. But yeah, that was a process to get the bidding process and learning about that process. I actually hired a guy to do that, and I just hired him and said, hey, if you get the bid, I'll give you a percentage. And he did all the bids for us. He wrote all the contracts and did it all. It was great.
Oh. I need his number.
Yeah, I think he's retired.
Because that's actually, I do some government work, and it's painful. And what I found is it's easier to be the subcontract where we have the capability, they just come to us.
Yeah.
But to do it direct, I still haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. But to that lesson learned really quick about the recession that was important is I was in a lease over at 1787 Tribute Road off of Exposition Boulevard, and I had actually grown the business from a smaller suite to a much larger suite. and I signed a 5-year lease with a term and triple net and expenses, and the market collapsed. I mean, I signed my lease in 2007. It's like the worst time to sign a lease for a building. And I knew nothing about leases, I knew nothing about personal guarantees, I knew nothing about any of that stuff. And I learned the hard way of having to pay out to, even though I found a tenant to occupy the space in 2010, I ended up paying out almost, I don't want to get into figures, but almost 6 figures over time that I had to pay the landlord for the difference in rent from the new tenant and their rental rate to my original lease rental rate. So I was like, never, but I learned a lot. That was one of the most valuable lessons I learned was lease negotiations, how those triple net leases work. And,
Well, it's in 5 years, you're quite the optimist about your lease.
yeah, well, now I'm in a 10-year lease, so I'm really an optimist. Yeah. No, I want to stick around, more or less now.
Well, you're glad around here. So you're, actually, I'm going to first start off. So skin, body, soul is your big, that was your big success.
Yes.
So first off, what is that? Let's start there first.
So Skin Body Soul is a membership-based med spa. We do laser hair removal, we do Botox and fillers, we do body contouring. We're a full-service med spa.
And then I guess going back to what was the origin? What's the origin story of this?
The origin story is
Spider-Man,
Yeah, the origin story is in 2009 when we ended up leaving One Source Media. One Source Media and Great Video were kind of phasing out and shutting down. I was hired to go work at a company in Las Vegas and sell a lipo laser. So I just met my wife and I moved to Las Vegas. Think about that. I'm just dating my wife, just met her, and I'm like, hey, by the way, I moved to Las Vegas.
Were you happy?
It worked out.
Okay.
So I ended up moving to Las Vegas, and I lived in Las Vegas from 2010 to about middle of 2011. And towards the end, that company that I was working for lost basically their contract to sell this particular laser, and it was a lipo laser. And I don't want to go into all the different types of lasers, but it was a laser body contouring device, similar to cool sculpting or sculpture. I don't know if you're familiar with these key terms today. But it was a laser body contouring device, and I worked my way up the ladder, and the new company that ended up getting the contract, Yellow Medical out of Canada, hired me as their national director of sales. So I was like, okay, do I keep on this gig or not? So I did, I took the job.
By the way, you have a very important trait for an entrepreneur. You're a natural salesperson. Was that learned, or you feel like you always have that ability?
I don't know. I think so. I definitely studied sales. I read a lot of books on sales. I've read every Zig Ziglar book. I love watching YouTube videos on sales. There's awesome content out there, really good stuff. And I'm constantly nerdy and I'm constantly watching sales videos. But it is partially because my parents were very outgoing people, and I grew up in a very, I hate to say it, a party atmosphere. My parents were like massive party animals to their demise, really. And but I grew up in that atmosphere where there's just I was just at the party all the time. So my parents were social, and I just was social.
Sorry to interrupt. So you're at the national director of.
Yeah. So and then I didn't work out. I had a horrible relationship with my boss. If you guys know, it's the worst experience ever. Ended up leaving that company. When I left, I said there was this one doctor in Dallas who I had a lot of respect for over the years, and I couldn't sell her a laser. I'm a really good salesperson. I couldn't sell her a laser, and she was the only laser in all of North Dallas. She's the only laser in Dallas that would have this device. And I just knew, I'm like, you're gonna put this, you run this on Groupon, you're gonna make $250,000 in a week. And she didn't believe me. She's like, I bought all these lasers, I don't wanna buy stuff. So I said, fine. I took all my savings and I bought the laser and I made an agreement with her. It started out just a handshake, and then we put it into writing, and we opened the first center, which was called Lipo Laser Centers of America. And that's a really cool story because that's when Groupon was red hot in 2011. We ran a Groupon, I think it was in the fall of 11. And I'm not even kidding you, the phone rang so much that it broke an iPhone. It melted the phone. The phone broke because the phone never stopped ringing. Groupon used to run 2-day sales, and that was it. And it was one deal a day, and that's the whole day of Groupon, right? And we did so much so fast that we brought in over $125,000, $130,000 in that 24-hour period.
Holy cow!
And we ended up having to take all the money from Groupon and then buy 2 more lasers just to service the people that we sold, and then we ran another Groupon.
In one day, crazy, and $100K in one day.
Over $100,000.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, on Groupon.
Wow!
It was insane. And that was to repeat.
So in a day period, you pretty much, like, that's almost like, you know, I was working with a lot of startups, and that's how much they would, you know, if they're trying to just raise that kind of money. Right?
Yeah, it was insane.
Okay,
You
so
can probably look it up online. It's probably still out there. It's the page is probably still out there with the amount of sales.
okay, you started with one laser, you had this crazy coupon.
Yeah.
That made 125K in 24 hours. What's next?
Then I immediately bought 2 more lasers. And since I had an inside track with that company, because I was the former national sales director, I got really great price on all my equipment. Bought 2 more lasers immediately, and then we put those in the clinic, and then we were like, oh, let's put one in South Lake. I don't know if you know Dallas, but this is another area, suburb of Dallas. We put another laser there in a small little practice with same partnership with my doctor, and ran a Groupon and just another $100 grand. I was like, it was just crazy.
It was printing money. You know?
It was literally printing money. I don't even know how else to say it. Then I knew I had something great, and I was like, okay, let's just do this as fast as possible. Open, and all I did was fly back. I was flying all over the country trying to find locations to open as fast as I could.
So
put as many lasers out there as I can. Run Groupons.
What are you doing? You look at the Yelp, well, not in the Yelp, but you find a doctor in a city.
I was cold calling,
And they would
Google and cold calls.
And so you would say, hey, you give them your sales pitch.
I would just say, listen, I have a laser, and I know you're a physician over here. Like, for example, in Atlanta, I found a girl in Atlanta who had a practice, a med spa, and I was like, hey, I have this. I'll give you all the referrals, so you can have all my referrals. All I want to do is have this one room, my own employee in that room, and then you're the overseer of care, because in medicine you have to have a physician who oversees patient care. So you're the overseer of care. All the money will flow through you essentially, other than Groupon revenue, and we'll work out the details in the contract. And I just did that all over the country, all over.
So for
Lipo laser centers in America, yeah.
So America, how many units did you end up having?
I think at our height we had like 20 plus lasers, and we had locations in, I want to say, I can't remember specifically, at least 12 locations, 10 to 12. Minneapolis, I can name all. Atlanta we had 2, Dallas we had 3, Portland, Seattle, Des Moines.
So did you have to hire, you must have to hire somebody there to
Yes.
use the laser, you had to train that person,
Yeah.
and you didn't have to have the relationship with the doctor.
Yes.
And so how did you scale so fast, or how did you manage all this?
First of all, we had great software to scale, and I think that's really important, is making sure you have software that's really scalable. I had hired 2 regional directors, two wonderful ladies who helped guide me not only on finding locations and physician relationships. They were paid to do that, but they were also training the staff, hiring the staff, and their backgrounds were in HR. So that's all they did, and it worked out really, really well. And they grew with us. It was fantastic.
So what happened at some point? You changed it to?
Well, what happened was that more and more people would come. We had so many people coming in, and they were really excited about the lipo laser. And they're like, my estheticians who were running the laser and other types of LVNs and different types of practitioners running the lasers, they thought it was a good idea to probably expand services and do maybe a chemical peel here or do something like that there. So I was like, okay, that seems like a good idea. However, we couldn't compete with the physician and what the physician was doing. So what happened was Groupon started to fizz out. We were a one-trick pony. We had one laser, and we had Groupon, and we didn't have anything else. So then we started struggling and shrinking really quickly, because I run a Groupon that used to collect 100,000, and the next time I ran the Groupon 6 months later, I collect 50. 6 months later, I collect 25. 6 months later, I collect 12. And I was like, uh-oh, right? I'm like, this is diminishing returns. So I had to find a solution to that, and the solution was we ended up selling 2 locations in Atlanta to a company called Skin Matters, and then we started Skin Body Soul. We just rebranded everything, and we opened.
Did you convert some? Did you sell all the locations, or?
No, we only sold Atlanta. We closed a couple locations because of the poor performance, and then we took the money from the sale in Atlanta and we parlayed that into Skin Body Soul, and we formed Skin Body Soul, which was again just a lipo laser and a few other services, chemical peels at the time.
But when I talked to you, said you had an issue with the doctors or something that they would.
I did have issues with doctors.
So can you talk about
Thank
that?
you for bringing that. It's wonderful of you. No, we
You have to learn from your experience.
Yeah, so that was a big challenge. greed is good in some regards, but unfortunately, I had many doctors take advantage of me because I was remote. And there's a couple instances, Oklahoma City in particular was the very, very worst, where I was literally running Groupons and bringing traffic into this full-blown med spa, and she was a physician who owned the med spa. And then she went out and bought the exact same device, and then convinced my staff member to sell the packages on her device versus mine because she was paying more. So I had staff members that were double dipping. I had a doctor in cahoots with that, and it was just a mess. And that was just the infancy. I had this happen in Atlanta. The doctor the practice saw how successful we were. So immediately after we ran a couple of Groupons and we had all this traffic going through their med spa. And by the way, they were beautiful. Skin Matters is still around. It's a great med spa. They had all this traffic. Immediately he turned to me and he was smart. And he said, I just want to buy you out. He saw the magic in the system that I had created. He's like, I just want to buy it. So the Oklahoma City incident, the diminishing return, and then the combination of the sale and acquisition that occurred in Atlanta all kind of happened simultaneously. And yeah.
So what's the difference between the first business to Skin Body Soul or Soul?
Skin Body Soul, yeah. So Skin Body Soul was all encompassing. It's relied less on the physician, and we had our own locations. And we were standalone retail centers where we did our own operations in the retail center, and the physician only came in who was paid, or he or she was paid to do any services.
So she was more of an employee or a contractor?
Contractor.
Right.
Came in, oversaw the care, she was the medical director, or he was the medical director. Generally working more with females than males just because of the industry that we were in, and yeah, it was great.
So a
lot more control, we took a lot more control back.
So that
more confidence in myself. Yeah, I had more confidence. At first, I was very, you have to remember, coming off the Great Recession, I'm still paying out this lease and dealing with all this just total BS, and I was very timid. I didn't want to take on a lease for another 5 years at a 2,500 square foot, center in Dallas. I just wanted to be in one room with one doctor, make my money, and just run. Because I had a great system. And no, we had to, because we were remote, we had to make the change. So we made the change and we formed Skin Body Soul.
Okay, and so on the Skin Body Soul, how was the control? I mean, the physician was a contractor.
Yep.
But how did you manage, 10 locations? Were you flying?
The most locations for Skin Body Soul we had was 5 to 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you just flying and driving around to?
I still had my team of people, and we we had 7, so we went to Minneapolis too. I was flying around, but also I had a team of managers in place, and middle managers, and then managers on. So I had managers on managers. I had layers of managers, and and they all did a really good job. We created a great system. We had a good system in place, and it was working really great.
All right. So, and the question, during this whole, I'm going to ask about the acquisition, but let's talk about the near-death experiences. Did you have? It sounded like you had several of them on the
Laser, yeah. No, we had several, yeah. When that doctor was taking advantage of us, and I just kept looking down at the numbers and being like, why is it not making mathematical sense? And I'd fly out there, and there would be nothing going on, and they'd hide the machine from me that they were. Yeah, it was like a total. I don't even know if I passed the statute of limitations. I probably should sue her. Her name is Kathleen Olson. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Anyway, because it was a total violation of our contract, and it was totally corrupt. I mean, the whole system they were running an operation.
They hide the laser from you?
Yeah, they had. I actually was out there on a trip, and I saw it in the corner of a room, and I said, "What is that?" And I walked over and pulled it off, and I noticed the machine, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is like a totally competitive device." So I confronted her and said, "Hey, this is a competitive device to what we do." And it was like a series of unfortunate events. This was like rock bottom. I'm telling you, this is rock bottom for me. We had to pull the laser out. We had to get a quick lease somewhere else and basically form. That's when we went on our own with the Light Laser Center in Oklahoma. We found this really shitty building because it was the only one that would take month to month, and we didn't know what we were going to do, and we were going to just close it out. And then there was a giant tornado that hit. And that was 2013-14. It was a massive tornado that wiped out this area of Edmonds and this area of Oklahoma. My manager, my nurse, she was a nurse, her home got wiped out. So So she was living in her mom's house. It was just a mess, like one thing after another.
But it-
I could not live in Oklahoma.
Did it take your machine out so you could get the...
No, my machine in our building was unaffected.
Oh, yeah, you get the insurance money for that.
No. No. That would have made things easier, I guess. But that was a near-death experience for sure.
For the laser, but what about so skin body cells? Was there that experience there?
There was a few near-death experiences in Skin by Soul. Skin by Soul was not a perfect model. We were playing with the model. We created a membership model and we didn't know our margins. And it was a lot of back and forth, back and forth.
When you say membership model, does that mean like it's like all you can?
Yep.
Okay, wow.
We created the first real membership in the medical spa space, where you could come in like a gym, at any treatment you want at the spa for one flat rate a month. I was really into that model. I wanted that model. And it wasn't perfect because certain devices have disposables and additional costs, and this was constantly tweaking, and that was one of the things that challenged Skin by Soul throughout from infancy in 2014 all the way until literally today, because I still have 2 Skin by Souls that we have left, and we still own. And it's constantly evolving. The pricing is changing. It's just the industry changes so fast. In this particular industry, there's new technology, there's new software, there's more expenses. It's always changing. So you're always having to tweak this membership pricing to make sure you've got your model. So now we have only 3. We originally had like 7 memberships or 6 memberships. Now we have 3, which is also like the paradox of choice, right? If you have too many items on the menu, people get confused, they don't know what to buy. Now there's 3, it's very simple, 1, 2, 3, right? So we've done a lot of changes in evolution and learned from the people who actually bought us a lot as well, which I should mention. Because when we were going through the acquisition process, we learned a ton from some really smart people that had a lot more money than I ever had dreamt about. Maybe I dreamt about it, but didn't have. And they taught me a lot because they had some good stuff going on.
So how did the acquisition come about?
That's actually, I'm so happy you asked me this because we didn't get into this on the phone call. This is a really cool story. I'm sitting at the American Express Lounge, and this is in, I want to say it was 2017, April, sometime around there. Sorry, I'm looking at my wife for making sure I'm right on my dates. I'm sitting at the American Express Lounge because I have the American Express Corporate Platinum card. If you don't have it, get it. It's a great card. And I'm at the lounge at Seattle Airport, and this gentleman, I'm on the phone, and I'm talking about the spa to my manager or something, and I was talking to one of my managers, and this guy who sitting next to me overheard me. His name is Glenn Novotny. And I don't know if you guys know who Glenn Novotny is, but he's a billionaire. And I noticed his watch. He had a really nice tag watch, and he kind of was like eavesdropping on my call, and I was like, that's weird. And he's sitting right next to me at the lounge, and so I'm eat food and got my computer waiting for my flight. And he says to me, are you in the spa business? I said, yeah. I said, I'm in the spa business. And I kind of had headphones in. I was kind of like trying to get work done. And he's like, oh, I'm in the spa business too. And I was like, okay, well, you know what he did? He's like, have you ever heard of hydrofacial? I was like, yeah, you guys know what hydrofacial is? Did anybody in here know what hydrofacial is? Hydrofacial is like the biggest device it replaced microdermabrasion. I don't know if you remember that term, but it completely reinvented microdermabrasion. And so I'm like, yeah, I know what hydrofacial is. And he goes, well, I own it. And I was like, what do you mean you own like it's a $1 billion company. And I was like, no, yeah, so I was the lead investor, I'm a private equity guy in San Francisco, I live in Danville. So we started talking, I was like, oh, cool. And he literally was just trying to sell me hydrofacial. And I said, no, I'm not interested in buying hydrofacial devices. We're a membership-based spa because hydrofacials have a disposable. And he said, listen, I want you to talk to this guy, Clint. And Clint's the CEO of Hydrofacial. I'm like, yes, I will absolutely talk to Clint because he's a big deal too. Huge deal in the medical industry. So he set up the meeting with Clint, and we started talking. He learned about my membership programs, and he said, hey, I'm involved with Dr. Grant Stevens on a project called Orange Twist, which, I'm dropping names here that you probably don't know. Dr. Grant Stevens is the most famous plastic surgeon basically in the world. He's the current president of the American Society of Plastic Surgery. He's like insane. He's a god to plastic surgeons. And he said, I want to learn about your memberships. Will you come down and meet with Grant? And I was like, yeah. So I just got on a plane and went down. I had no idea where this was going, but I knew that if I was with these guys, I knew something good was going to happen because these are like the smartest, most brilliant people in the industry. And I just knew something great was going to happen. So then he flew out to our spa, we flew to his spa, I saw his spa, so back and forth. And then I just threw it out there. I said, why don't you just buy us? I said, I'll just give you a price and we can work together and grow Orange Twist. And he's like, name your price. And so I said, sure. I said, this is the price and this is why it's the price. And then he says, and he literally said, done. He said, we're going to audit the numbers and financials, but done. And it was at the Ritz-Carlton in Dallas.
Did you know did you have all those numbers in your head?
I had some numbers in my head. I was trying to sell the whole company. I didn't end up selling the whole company. It was a multi-tiered, I mentioned this to Richard in the call, but it's a multi-tiered deal. It wasn't a full exit. We exited a portion of our med spas, and then we sold, so we got cash, we got equity in Orange Twist, we got earn-out over time. It was a very 100-page complicated contract with non-compete clauses, with buyout clauses. It was a mess. But it was a good mess. It was perfect for us, and it was perfect for them, and it was just, and it was perfect for our staff. So it was like, it's good. Every box was checking. Literally, there wasn't a negative box, and I said, this is perfect. Let's just do this.
How come they didn't buy the other do a complete buyout?
They had a complete buyout on the contract. So they originally bought our Seattle location, and they bought our Dallas location. And then they had the opportunity to buy all the locations in the contract for 1 year, so we were kind of in a waiting game for a year.
Okay.
And they never ended up buying the remaining units because they had some problems of their own with a couple locations and gotten some financial. They weren't the same financial health as they were when we initially met.
Okay.
So they ended up not buying the rest. So then I got a weird situation now where I own these 2 med spas in Iowa, and I still own them, and I own Orange Twist, which is competing with them in some ways, but not in Iowa. And so we're just working out the kind of like where we're going to go with Skin Body Soul. So we're working that out right now. Hopefully someone will come in and hopefully buy us. In all honesty.
Okay. And then, so you managed 2 stores in Iowa.
Yeah.
And so I guess the next story goes to, so your next big project is Plastic Pub.
Yeah.
So what's the origin story for there?
So Plastic Pub is the coolest place on earth.
Yeah.
I was in Seattle about the exact same time that I met Glenn, and we had a grand opening in April of 2017 for our newest Seattle location. It's our biggest location for Skin Body Soul. It's huge. Painted the building orange. You gotta see this thing. It's insane. Literally painted the building, asked the landlord to paint it orange, and he painted it orange because we're the biggest suite in the complex at almost 4,000 square feet. We occupied the entire first floor with a plastic surgeon, whom I was a partner with. So, great relationship there, everything's going good. I take my staff out that evening for a night on the town. We go to have a good time. And it was myself, it was our director of marketing, Carly Trelford, who lived here in Sacramento. She's our director of marketing for Skin Body Soul, my wife Jenny, and Craig Watts, who built the Skin Body Soul who's also a contractor, and he built Skin Body Soul in Seattle for us. And we went out that night, and I'll never forget, I walked into the Flat Stick Pub in downtown Kirkland, and it was just off of a Yelp review, because we didn't even know where it was, and we saw it on Yelp, and someone told us to go down there for another bar. And downtown Kirkland's small, I don't think it was Kirkland, and you walked in, and it was a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was packed. I mean, it was wall-to-wall people. And we couldn't even get on the golf course on a Wednesday at 8 to play around at golf. And I was like, what is this place? And then we walked in and we talked to the bartender, and the bartender's like, everything's craft beer, everything's local, 100% local. So everything's independently owned and local. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And they were really beer knowledgeable, and they had no cocktails, they had no liquor, and they hardly had any wine. And yet it was more than half of the place was filled with females. And I was like, there's something magical about this place. And everyone loved it. So I reached out to the owner, and this is funny. I reached out to the owner of Plastic, who immediately forwarded me off to some manager who said, we're not interested, because I told him, listen, I'm from Sacramento, it's the farm to fork capital of the world, please come down, we'd love to host you in Sacramento. And I was like an ambassador for Sacramento, right? I was super stoked that he'd be like, yeah, let's go. And that was not true. He was completely miserable. He did not want anything to do with me. He's like, no, not interested at all. We're not corporate, we're independent. That's our values. I said, okay, whatever. So a week goes by, and I said, no, I gotta do this. I gotta ask him again. So I emailed him again. And this time it got kicked up again, and the manager kicked it up to Andy, who's the vice president, the brother of the founder, Sam. And he's like, sorry, not corporate, not interested, good luck. So my wife is an MBA student at Sacramento State University, and she had to do a business plan in 2017. And my brother-in-law is the former manager of the ESPN The Zone, and he's the current, or was at the time, the current manager for Carl Strauss Breweries in San Diego. And so Jenny my wife asked Jesse to help her with the business plan. And they ran this business plan. They built this beautiful business plan called Tipsy Putt. And it was awesome. And all summer long, we're like, oh, you know, and then my brother decides to move to Sacramento. And so he moved up from Southern California, and Jesse left Carl Strauss. And he's like, we're going to Tipsy Putt.
I like the name, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great, my wife came up with the name, and Tipsy Putt, it's a great name. And so everything's going great at the end of summer, but I got really queasy and uneasy. The sale was kind of not, it was just kind of in its fruition. We didn't know what was going to happen to Skin My Soul. And I had no idea if this place was making a penny. I literally had no idea. I was like, I gotta just email them and see if he'll grab a coffee with me. If I can get some insight to understand how they make money. Because I've never owned a bar or restaurant before. I have no idea how these things work. So I emailed him. It was in August. It was like August 15th. I don't know the exact date, right around there. I emailed Sam, the founder, and I said, Sam, I attached the business plan. I said, Sam, please, I'm in Seattle right now. I'm in Bellevue. I'm here through tomorrow. Would you just grab a coffee with me? Would you just grab a beer with me? I want to learn how you started Flatstick Pub. By the way, I'm going to open this concept with or without you. Please see attachments. And I sent the business plan. And Sam, like within 2 hours, I was in my hotel at 8 o'clock that night. I think I said that at 6 o'clock. To 8 o'clock, I was on the phone with my Jenny, and Sam calls me, the founder, and I missed the call, and I listened to the voicemail. I was like, meet me in 2 hours in downtown. And I was like, oh shit, it's like 8 o'clock. So he wants to meet me at 10 p.m. New to the bar industry, I don't know if these are rules, you know. I'm like, 10 p.m. meeting on a Thursday, okay, cool. So I'm like, and I'm in my suit, and I'm like, you know, I remember talking to Jenny, I was on the phone, and I said, I think I'm gonna go take this meeting. And Jenny's like, go do it. So I didn't drive, I actually had an Uber, because I didn't have a car, down to Seattle, and then I met with Sam, and Sam and I just hit it off, and we started talking, and we got really drunk. And I said, Sam, buy your flight to Sacramento. And he's like, no. So I ended up buying him a flight to Sacramento. The next Tuesday, it was like a Thursday, and he flew down to Sacramento on that Thursday, and I think we went out and looked at locations, and then went out to a bunch of breweries that evening, and we were originally going to be partners. That's how it all started with Flatstick Pubs. We were going to be partners 50-50, 49-51, he was going to be 50-1, whatever. And for this location in Sacramento. And then, due to unforeseen circumstances, he had gone through a divorce, and there were some complications with that, a separate LLC and business, whatever. So he's like, well, maybe we can do a license agreement. So that's where we are. We have a license agreement, and the rest is history. We're opening next year, or sorry, this end of summer.
So I have to ask, I love the name Tipsy Putt. Why didn't, I don't think he had anything proprietary. You could just sort of saw what he did, imitated instead of.
He did. So Flatstick Pub is not just indoor putt golf. There's another game called Duffel Board, which is a proprietary game that he invented, and it's really fun to play. Kind of like Top Golf as a driving range. It's a whole nother concept. And also, I liked what he had created. I liked his energy. I loved the values that Flatstick brought, and I thought, I'm not going to copy this guy and go into competition with this guy. He wants to partner with me. We're going to have a great relationship. Let's do it.
Okay.
So we wrote the license agreement, and we went to town. Yeah, it was fantastic.
So, and I've had this question from other people, and you can answer, but you're at the Doko.
Yeah.
You've chosen, and there's what's the Punch Bowl Social, which initially I was thinking, is that like a competitor, or?
Yes.
But
there's a lot of differences. Coin Op is another kind of bar that has games. It is a competitor, but it's not a competitor. So I look at the Punch Bowl Social recently got $1 billion valuation, in case you're not aware, from a private equity group. They're out of Denver, Colorado, and they have like 24 locations being built simultaneously right now.
Wow.
It is insane. Punch Bowl Social is on fire. And I looked at that, and I also knew about that when that's one of the reasons why I was attracted to Flatstick. I was like, this is kind of cool. There's not a lot in the mini golf space, but there's a ton in bowling. You got Brooklyn Bowl, you got Lucky Strike, you got Punch Bowl, you got Pins, you got Stripes. You got like so many companies out there doing this. Mm-hmm. Why hasn't anybody done it in mini golf? So we don't think it's going to be a competition. If anything, I think downtown Doko is an incredible opportunity for great space. We have a phenomenal space.
And I
Thanks to a
think-
gentleman named Patrick Stallmark, who may or may not be in the room, from Turton Commercial, who was our broker on the deal.
Okay.
Sorry, had to give a shout out.
So
It's not like get paid now.
I think I thought one of the first I talked to was sort of like it's like if you have a lot of like businesses together, they sort of form their own attraction. Like,
Absolutely.
so like, you know, around Disneyland, there's like, there's all these other little things around Disneyland. Knott's Farm. So it forms like it's, you know, you don't just have that's what.
Yeah. So the business coach I was working with in the past always said, never fear competition, go right next door. And I was like, that seemed ludicrous to me. And he's like, well, if you want to be the best, they congregate. The best always congregate. And this is one of the lessons he taught, and it's something that resonated with me. It was like, if you are a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills, there are like 40 plastic surgeons in one building in Beverly Hills. But what happens is there's some camaraderie, there's competition, but there's also camaraderie, there's education that you learn, and it makes you better. It makes you a better marketer, it makes you a better competitor, and it creates what's called like a destination. So Beverly Hills is a destination for aesthetic surgery. I'm not even making this up, there are everyday people from the Middle East that fly in private jets and planes to Beverly Hills, get procedures done, and then fly back to the Middle East, because there's a certain personification there's a certain feeling that that's the place to go if you want the best of that environment. The Kardashians go there, you know. Everyone goes to Beverly Hills and West Hollywood.
If they have a private jet, they're probably forward one.
Yeah, but honestly, why don't they just go to someplace in Dubai or Abu Dhabi? They literally go out of their way to do that, and it creates an epicenter of sorts. You see it in Silicon Valley. Why do all these companies start in the valley? Well, it's all the talent. If you get a great nurse from one clinic next door that comes and joins forces with you, now you've got this phenomenal team that you're just going to grow and explode right in Beverly Hills. Despite being next to people, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of synergy that occurs even though you're next to your competitors.
Yeah.
Everyone has their specialties.
And with the Golden One Center and the Kings, it kind of makes it almost a destination.
Yeah, Doco is awesome. We got a great location.
So in this endeavor, this I find very, this is the part I want to touch. So you kind of raised like what, 2.5 million to get this off the ground,
Yes.
and you have a couple of, I think you have Mark Haney and Tom Candice who spoke here a lot.
Yes.
What was your pitch to them? How did you get them to invest?
So once we locked the license agreement and we owned the rights to all of Northern California, I put together a business plan with an exit. And I was very fortunate because with Skin Body Soul, I'm the first person to ever like start a medical spa, grow a medical spa, and sell a medical spa. And I'm on the board of American Medical Spa Association because of that. That's another reason why we sold out, is because of the politics, you know. It wasn't even that huge of a monumental deal, but it was so politically good for myself to be a partner with Grant Stevens, Clint Carnell, sorry, not Corbin Cornell, that's not three things again. But Clint and Grant and I, you know, it's great to have that partnership, and so that was a really great jumping block, you know, for me to jump off of when I was pitching to different potential investors. And of course, I went to every local investor event, stuff like this. And my wife and I are actually investors ourselves. We've invested in companies here in Sacramento, and I just got in the networks, and I just went out there and just hustled. And I gotta tell you, the worst thing in my life was going out asking people for money. I absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand it. I still hate it. I'm not going to do it anymore.
So
very, very difficult.
So I guess Mark and what was it a hard pitch?
It was a hard pitch to Mark and to Tom. Yes.
So what finally do you think brought him over, or won him over?
I think we have a great plan. My experience being able to exit with the contract and the details that I exited on, and the fact that they both went through an exit, there was some, you know, we were able to relate in some ways because of that. And when I originally went out there, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew I only had like 10 minutes to pitch this idea to Tom, actually. I never even met with Mark first, it was Tom. And I sat in the room and I had my little pitch deck, and I went through everything. And it's really important that everyone realizes that this is like a true, real business lesson. I said this on the call, is that every business has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you have to have an end. And so many people don't understand, because they get into business and you get in the hustle and you get in the rat race. and you're on the wheel and you're just growing your business and you're growing your business, but if you don't have an end, you just become miserable. And it's really important that you understand what your goals are and where you want to go.
So in your pitch, you have to talk to exit strategy.
I talked to Nick. Yes, absolutely. Return on investment, for sure. 100%. And how I derived at that valuation. So I studied exits in the industry, in the restaurant business, and what the EBITDA earnings were on those exits. And I knew my numbers, and I knew to calculate that all the way through to figure out what our exit would be. And it's not greed. Another important thing that they saw was like a lot of people have these pie in the sky beliefs that they're going to join or build a company. It's going to be $1 billion company, right? I'm sorry to say, but that's total bullshit. A company is like 0 to 10 million, and then a company is 10 to 50 million, then a company is 50 to 100, then it's 100 to 500, then it's 5, and there's these stages that companies go through in growing pains you have to deal with. And if you don't understand that, you don't know when you need to get out, that's a problem. You know, you can sit there and analyze it and say, hey, this is where I need to get out. You know, there's a great saying, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. And you have to know that you can get fat and you get out and let someone else get fat. It's their turn. You know, you're not a player in that space yet. So know that you know, angel investors need to get paid first. Then it goes to venture capital, you get paid second. Then it goes to private equity, gets paid third. Private equity gets paid on the stock market. That's the line. That's the lineage how it works. And where you are, if you're 0 to 100,000, you're gonna somewhere go to maybe VC or angel, and then exit to VC, and then you move up the ladder. And if you're with that company, that's great. There's some people who've done it really, really well. Tyler from Skyslope, I don't know if you know the story of Skyslope here in Sacramento.
He's actually spoke here.
He is incredible. He's, for me, I don't understand him completely. I've actually had dinner with him a couple times, and I've talked to him a lot of things, and he's still with his own company. And I understand there's a lot of like love for his own brand, his company, his team, but he's completely at the mercy of others now. And that has really got to be hard on him. Having a boss like Fidelity that literally controls his actions after building his company.
He still has some equity in
Oh, he has a lot of equity, but he's not in control.
Right.
He doesn't have controlling equity, so he has a boss. He can be fired at any time. And he got paid a ton of money. Go relax for a while and think of another idea or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's just it's different. So
It's interesting. Just when you sit there about having the exits, I've I've listened to other VCs investors, and I've seen a couple who said if someone's pitching them and they have an exit strategy or exit, you know, and everything, that's it for them. And I'm actually wondering if that's just a difference in, you know, they're seeing. You know, what they were explaining in their thing was that if someone has an exit strategy that, you know, I don't want to talk to them, and it's sort of interesting that, you know, what sold you was you had an exit strategy in your pitch, and maybe it's just a different philosophy for different investors or something.
I don't know how many of these, if everyone's in here an entrepreneur or not, but there is different exit strategies for different people. If you have a non-revenue based business that you're building intellectual property on, like an app or something like that, it's very different than a tangible business like a restaurant that's earning income. It's very, very different. The stages of development in that, and if you're going to sell that app, there's a lot of apps and there's a lot of software that gets sold without any revenue at all.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different strategy. And you have to understand that space. I don't understand that space. I don't invest in that space because I don't know anything about that space. I know about tangible, I know about money, and I like investing in businesses that actually make money from day one. That's just who I am. It's not for everybody. I don't like the lottery tickets. There's a lot of lottery tickets out there. A lot of people invest in lottery tickets. If you know Sac Angels, there's a lot of lottery tickets that come to us all the time. And it's a great place to pitch your business. If you don't know Sacramento Angels, phenomenal group of investors, angel investors here in Sacramento. Tom Canders and Mark Haney are some of those angels. But those are, it's just not my game.
So, when you say lottery ticket, you're talking about they want to invest in a unicorn.
Yeah. I don't mean to say like a lottery ticket. It's not a lottery ticket. I'm just saying that there's a lot more risk when you have a business that has no income. Because you're just relying on this source of capital that's diminishing every single week. And then you have to hope and pray that you either get more income or a new valuation, or you don't, or you're dead. And that's the tough part.
So
It's not for everybody. Nothing against it. It's just, and there's been great unicorns. Facebook was a unicorn. Instagram was. I mean, I think there's thousands of them. It's different. I think in our space, an exit was important to show that we're investing this capital, reinvesting this capital, reinvesting this capital. 5 years, you get your money back, and people like that.
Right. So, with that said, as you bring this up at investor philosophy, tell me about, and you had said you invested in a few companies. Tell me about like what your thesis is for an investor, or what do you look for in if a company's going to approach you for an investment.
So, I think I like to invest in things I like and things I know. I'm in real estate. I think I understand real estate. Probably not as good as some people in this room, but I think I understand real estate. I think I'm doing a pretty good job in real estate. So I'm more apt to invest in things I understand. Like, I understand real estate. You pitched a concept to me about real estate, the functions of real estate. I understand it. I understand what Sky Slope does, right? If you're in the medical device space, you bring to me. Actually, I just got pitched on a device. It's a very interesting device. It's a post-care device for injuries and orthopedics, and very fascinating. I'm actually very interested in this company. But things like that I understand who would buy in that space, how that space works, how insurance reimbursements work in the medical device world. Like, those are things I'm more, I think I should say we, because my wife's a part of my team, right? We are more, we would most likely invest in things we know.
Right.
Although there are some interesting things that have come up that we are looking to invest in. I'm actually looking to invest in a company called Good Citizen Mac and Cheese right now that I'm really excited about. It's killer mac and cheese. I know it sounds weird, but they sell in like over 1,000 grocery stores today. They make great revenue. It's a great opportunity. The numbers are right. So it's already making money. So something I like is that it's already making money. So that's something that will most likely pull the trigger on here anytime.
So what's the best way for an entrepreneur to approach you for to be able to pitch to you?
I would any entrepreneur come to me and pitch me. I go out and pitch by lots of entrepreneurs. I'll usually, if it's something I don't understand, I'll refer to someone I know who does understand it. So this ortho product, that's a post-care product, I referred that to my friend Rio, because I'm not in the industry of insurance reimbursements. I'm in cash pay business for medicine. So I referred it to him. I allowed him to vet the company. I said, I might throw in on this, but I need you to vet the company. If it was something like, a software application, I might tap Tyler and say, dude, can you check this out? Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm kind of interested. I think he's a good kid or a good guy or whatever. Good kid, like I'm old or something. But he's got a good plan and he knows what he's doing. I just don't know enough, so I'll refer him out to you. So I think that it's fine. I'm open to listening to people. I probably get pitched at least once a week by someone, and I usually refer them to some great meeting. I'm like, this is an important meeting. Okay. Don't screw this up. Because I'm not the guy. That's the guy. Or that's the girl. Sorry.
Okay, so an ideal person for me, if I run into a lot of people, so an ideal entrepreneur is medical,
for me,
medical, real estate, or what else?
Mac and cheese.
Probably, food. I eat it. And like audio, video, probably, because of my background with video production. I probably know enough about that. But those would be my key core items.
That's my mental note here.
And investments between like $0 to maybe $50,000. I wouldn't do an investment more than $25,000 or $50,000 at this time.
Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye on you guys that are. I know there's a couple entrepreneurs here that maybe they'll reach out to Brandon.
Yeah, that's fine.
So with that, we'll go ahead and open up questions to the audience.
So I was wondering, when you switched over from, you took on the 2 stores and you separated from Groupon at that time, or Groupon just wasn't as available for you, how did you come up with your marketing strategy to make skin?
Ooh, great question. I'm still using Groupon a lot.
We were.
And I was kind of a Groupon junkie. I actually love Groupon. I think Groupon was really, really a mind-blowing, just groundbreaking idea. I mean, clearly, there's still a multi-billion-dollar company, publicly traded company. So we still utilized Groupon, and then we did a lot of, we did just Google AdWords, Facebook ads. We crushed it on our social media. We We still crush on our social media. We're very, very good advertisers. We actually have a dedicated person in our, because we're retail, right? We're retail medicine, so we have retail locations, and we have a dedicated staff member that we pay extra to do all our social media. And so and we use micro-influencers to do social media, and we really know how to take advantage of social media. And then the business of See Me, which is our business, right? Watch my face get prettier, watch me get prettier, watch my lips look bigger. And social media is really where it's at.
So you do a lot of before and after type of things?
Yeah, I'm 71 years old.
Okay, great.
No, we do a lot of before and afters. Unfortunately, that's tricky too, because ever since the election, Facebook's clamped down on advertising really hard, and it's been very difficult to advertise on Facebook. So we have to use alternative ways like micro-influencers. You can't put before and afters on Facebook. It's actually against their policy right now.
What?
Yeah, you can't do it. Can't have before and after images on Facebook.
Huh.
It's a nightmare for us, because that's the only thing that proves our service. And so it's been very difficult. But we found ways to wrap around that through videos and through micro-influencers that then put in their videos before and afters or talk about it, and then they boost that, and then that becomes an ad.
Okay.
Great question though. It's very tricky. Marketing is always the hardest part of retail. Never had a great location like I do like Doco, which is so high profile, where we have 1.5 million people that walk in front of our sign. It's going to be huge, and we don't do much advertising. Right?
So is it really just, foot traffic for for Plastic Hub that you plan to?
We have a marketing plan. We are going to utilize some tools like micro-influencers and influencers here in Sacramento, like different people in Sacramento that we'll invite in to have some free golf and post about it. But in reality, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, I'll learn obviously. Sam does zero marketing in Seattle, literally zero, and he crushes it. And I feel like in the restaurant world, you kind of don't need to do a lot of advertising, because if you're out there, you sound desperate. So I think it's going to be mostly Yelp. We're going to be really big on Yelp. We're going to focus a lot of attention towards reviews and Yelp. And then when people come in and we invite people in, we're going to request that they review us and like us on Facebook and follow us. I mean, it's more of a, I guess like a backdoor kind of marketing strategy. It's not in your face marketing, it's going to be kind of on the back end. You saw this guy, that your buddy likes it, and then it's there. And then the Yelp reviews are good, so you go there.
It's actually, by the way, it's actually relatively easy to get on morning TV here. Hopefully that's a new strategy.
Yeah, we've had actually, I don't know if you guys have seen, we've had a great amount of press. We got picked up by SAC. We've had over 1 million impressions alone on Plastic Pub. 1 million views and 1 million impressions on our articles. It has been insane. It has been on fire. In fact, we had to put out the fire. So we're not opening for so long. We're like, had to stop them. We're like, no, we're not taking any more interviews. Like, honestly, we get requests for stories. I mean, Fox 41 did a story on us, because KCRA did a story on us, because SACB did a story on us, because before that, the Business Journal did a story on us. So it was like, and then of course, in Seattle, he did a press release. So then the Puget Sound Review, Seattle Times reached out to us. It was nonstop. It was just the press can be your best friend, but also I understand that you have to keep them, your friends close and your enemies closer, right? You have to be, timing, you have to be cautious, because you don't want too much out there before we're so far away from opening.
Yeah, the press here as well, I've had a few friends that were able to get on the morning show relatively easy.
Yeah.
They're really here, they're really good at promoting local businesses too.
Yeah, I met Candy Brown. I was at Fizz, and Candy Brown walked in. So I started talking to Candy Brown. I was like, oh, it's a good day. I watched you have a good day. And she's like, you have to do the story. Come in a good day. And I'm like, yes, but not now. but it's been great. Like those opportunities. And I have a great team. I mean, we got a great team. My brother-in-law are fantastic. They were out. They drink too much, and they were out drinking too much, and they ran into the whole Fox 40, like at Costanza's, the new bar. They ran the whole Fox 40 team, and it was everyone from Fox 40, like Pedro, it's like the entire team. They're out on just on a Friday after work on a happy hour, and so they just immediately infiltrated this, not even knowing and getting to know these guys, and now we have Fox 40 that wants to run us. So there is a lot of relationship building too, and having more people than just yourself out there is important. We have a lot of
really good finish.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize.
No, I'm sorry, finishing the building of the Plastic Pub. You just broke.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you just broke ground. So hurry up.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have it done before the end of August. That's our goal.
Okay.
Hopefully.
More questions?
What's the course going to be like? I mean, is it going to be glow in the dark? It's nighttime.
Not glow in the dark.
So it's going to be lights on. It's going to be nighttime.
Lights on. If you guys don't already, if you have Instagram or Facebook, it's at Flatstick Doco. You can see what it looks like in Seattle. There's 3 locations in Seattle. There's 2 in construction currently in Washington, in Tacoma and Spokane. We're in LOIs right now in San Francisco, Chico, San Jose, 2 LOIs in San Jose, 1 that's about to be final. So but they're all very similar in nature and scope.
How many holes?
2 9-hole courses.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have the first 9-hole course complete, and then we'll have the second 9-hole course complete probably 18 months after we open.
Cool.
Just because we need extra space for events and things, and then as it slows down, we'll build the second course. But it's a very challenging course. It's not like your rickety mini golf course. There's a league called Monday Night Putters, and it runs every season. And there's Brewers tournaments, and there's the Masters, which is the Plastic Masters, which is really cool. So it's actually it's a real strategy golf course. It's not like you're like some giant alligator. There's no windmills. There's no mechanical parts. That's another thing I think that's what I really think the magic that Flatstick is there's no mechanical moving parts in this golf course. There isn't on any other golf courses. It's a real you're putting real putting.
Is it real grass or like?
It's AstroTurf. It's turf, but it's very, very similar.
Lawnmowers inside.
No lawnmowers.
Right, because there's a putt place down the way. I forgot stuff like going off 80 and stuff.
Monster golf or something like that.
No, they have that and also batting cage and everything else. So I'm kind of wondering, yours the way you're making it sound like it's just like a regular green golf place. So just tap over to that on the windmill and
No, it's not like that. I know you're talking about Scandia
Yeah.
off of 80.
80.
No, there's no children allowed in this place.
Okay.
There's no kids. It's an adult putt pub,
Yeah.
and it's adult based.
There are other ones, right, that it should be under 21 until like 7 or 8 o'clock, right? And you decided to go for
Correct.
that just 21 straight.
Correct. And the only reason why we did that, and that's a great question, is why we went 21 over. I get that because that's like the #1 question we get asked at Flatstick. But we're right on the arena. And the challenge is that we have swells before a game and after a game. And sometimes Kings games are 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you have people under 21 and we have a swell and we have to deal with either stamps or ID checks, it slows down the process of serving patrons. And that's a problem. I want to say patients.
Yeah.
We used to say patients in my business. Patrons.
So this is it also over 21?
The Pioneer Square location is 21 and over at all times. The South Lake Union location is 21 and over after 7 p.m. However, they're looking to amend that because they're not really allowing kids to have birthday parties there. That's the other thing is you have a lot of kids that want to do birthday parties. It's not the environment. It's a drinking environment. There are literally kegs on the golf course that you're putting through. It's not an environment for children. And yet all these parents want to bring their kids there. It's like, and drink beer. And in my own conscience, I feel guilty if I had a parent in there and they were drinking and they had drove their kid home. That would be my worst nightmare to live with. And I'd just rather not deal with it. I mean, I hate to say that I don't have kids, so I'm trying to empathize as best as possible. But it's just something I couldn't live with that guilty conscience. If something were to happen to a child after they were at Flatstick Pub with their parent that was drinking a beer, I would be dead of me. I would just be done. Couldn't deal with that.
That's not funny because I was thinking the same with people that made Dave Buster, and they're recognizing with the idea of it being the adult version of Chuck E. Cheese. And it's like I went in there and was like, why are the kids here then? It's like they got video games, everybody's got a bar on the side, but they also have some kids come in sometimes. It's like, we're all here still older.
I think they're stretching it.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of stretching the concept. I think a lot of these businesses are stretching to try to get extra revenue because they're not doing well. I think the adult arcade has played out.
Yeah.
The coin ops. I mean, I hate to say that. I'm just saying like there are phases that things are hot and then they get cold. And I think Punch Bowl won't be hot forever. I don't think coin op will be hot forever. I don't think Flatstick's going to be hot forever unless they invent new games, which is one of the reasons that attracted me to Flatstick is that they are inventing new games. They're getting outside the box. And they're going to continue. They have another game called Stick Putt, which they invented, which is really, really cool. It's a digital golf game. We're going to begin working on a concept. We haven't really perfected it. but somewhere where we can kind of do an electronic version of putting where you don't do your score, it goes right to your app, similar to Topgolf. So it scores your game throughout the process without even having to deal with RFID chips. So it just keeps score for you. It's really clever. So things like that set us apart from everybody else. That's really what's going to make us successful.
Any more questions?
I had a question. It sounded like you had some bad experience with one of your first ideas that somebody copied your idea about that other laser.
Mhm.
What's your attitude today towards protecting ideas, or are we kind of like beyond that and everything's about speed to market and getting it out there as quickly as possible? I mean, it's obviously different for something tangible than it is perhaps for an app or something that's super proprietary, but you know, bars and mini golfs, that's kind of been around, I mean, not in that constellation together, but what would you recommend to somebody how to protect their idea, or is it, you can't do that anymore today?
You can and you can't. I think that comes down to the values of your company. I think it really comes down to values. I think when there are some for example, Friendster was before MySpace, was before Facebook, right? But the company that stuck was Facebook. And I think they just kept to their core values. And I think that it could have been copied. Facebook could have been copied, but they kept, they kept being creative. They kept being themselves, true to themselves. And I think that's what makes the company successful. So can you protect an idea? I think there are ways to, it's very litigious. I'm just not the person that likes to sue people, as some people are patent trolls, and they go around and sue people. And they invent their intellectual property and they try to patent everything and they just sue everybody. There's a different, yes, you can protect your ideas through several different ways, but I think that real values are built, real companies are built in their values, truly. And that's what Flatstick is: community, it's local, it's fun, and it's these values that just make the company so great. And I know it's going to be successful forever because it's just those values, they're going to keep them. It's not just going to be mini golf, they're going to keep going, they're going to keep creating new games. That's what makes it so great.
Can't be replicated.
It can't be replicated. When you keep inventing games, you can't, and they are patenting the games are patented, and there is intellectual property, but it's very difficult to replicate. And there's barrier of entry. Like, this facility we're building is $2 million plus. You had to have money to build it, so the barriers of entry also help people from copying. So all these different kind of check marks that can go off at least in my mind when I look at a company that I have to check off. It has to be barrier of entry, has to be intellectual property. Certain things you have to make a great business. How to protect my ideas is great. You could spend hours talking about that. Yeah. Great question, though. Really great question.
Anything else? All right, so my last question is your favorite superhero?
Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln.
I know it's a strange superhero. I'm not really
Vampire? Abe Lincoln?
What would be my favorite superhero? Probably, I don't know, Superman maybe? Superman, I guess.
All right.
That's a tough one. I'm not a superhero.
Well, you were in here last week.
Yes, thank you.
But you are a superhero in our minds too, so we actually made a game. If you haven't, it works on Android.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't see the game.
Yeah, so it's a game. It's our party gift for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Speaking here and bringing plastic up.
Yeah, and all you guys get free golf and free duffel board.
Yes,
Rich has the tickets, passes.
I'll come to you. That ends tonight's fireside chat. I do want to bring up, we actually are starting a new format next. Normally this is fireside chat. Next month we're going to do a workshop where the workshop is, it's John Seela, he's with Sac Angels. He's going to talk about how entrepreneurs can get prepared to raise funds. In May is actually our fifth anniversary for StartUp Grind. So we are bringing back our original speaker, Pam Marone, and Pam Marone was like the first person in like 10 years to take a company public, and she was grown by innovation. She's coming back. She's great in the ecosystem, and if you follow her in the journal, she's had this sort of tumultuous journey in the last 5 years, which I think is just exiting out. But there's some learning lessons there. June, we're bringing in Mo Iyer, so she was Boomerang, her Actually, she used to work with a company, my old company actually, and she started a software company, and it's worth about $10 million. And you can talk about, and it's interesting with her, actually, both my next two speakers are female, so she has some interesting perspective as being a female entrepreneur that, which when I talked to her last time, wow, I never thought of that. So she has some interesting perspective. And then we'll have our, in July, we're gonna have our startup summer party, which is our, if you imagine this place, it's completely packed, tables, startup tables here, and it's completely packed and completely noisy and lots of fun. So that'll be in July. So with that, stick around, talk to each other, help each other out. So thanks for videotaping for us. It's so much help. And Lindsay, thanks for helping out today. So thanks everybody for coming in.